All right. Thank you, Lucas, for joining me today. Taking time out of your schedule. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. It's a busy time for us all. It's into the unknown, so we're really stressed and excited about our campaign. But all in all, yeah, doing great. How are you?
I'm not bad. So basically, I just was wanting to talk a little bit about what you do with the company. Maybe give us a little background about yourself and your role.
Sure. I am the leader of the testing team, so I coordinate all the testing that happens both in our studio and all the testing done by outside testers. So I do play the game a little bit, but mostly I make sure that everything works, nothing is overpowered, all the little bits and pieces and mechanics work well together.
Right on. And how long have you been working on this game?
Uh, for this game, well, we've been working on the prototype for like half a year now. But it was in the works way before then. Like the general concept, the world building was done for like over a year now,
Okay.
and probably even earlier. Like the basic concepts were like they predate me.
Right. Right. So basically, let me get back to my notes here. I apologize. A real rough start. So basically, that's how it's going to go. We're going to do a quick overview, explain the game mechanics and how everything ties together. We'll showcase it with the turn that we've set up for everybody to show the mechanisms in motion. Then we'll have a Q&A and let people ask questions as they need. And I just like to ask that they hold them until then, and we can make sure to pay attention to everybody's questions after we're done with the sample turn. So, um, with that being said, why don't you give us a little background of the game and what it's all about?
So, Kingdoms Forlorn is a dungeon delver game where players play as these, errant knights that delve into forsaken kingdoms, looking for treasure, for clues, mysteries about what brought these curses on the kingdoms, and most importantly, they try to finish their own goals. Like each knight has their own objective, their own agenda going into this kingdom, which they will try to fulfill. They've got like branching narrative that you can experience, like you could play multiple times using the same knight and still experience new stuff and new things. And this is like one phase of the game, and the other phase is the tactical combat. So when you delve into the unknown, into the Forsaken Kingdoms, Forlorn as we call them, you find experience encounters, experience your knight's story, but also tactical fights on a separate battle board where you will test your mettle against hordes of mobs, against huge bosses, and all sorts of other monsters from the kingdoms.
Right on. What tell us, what do you think sets this game apart from other crawlers or adventure games on the market already?
So what sets it apart is, well, the world is procedurally generated, so the kingdom map is going to be different each time you delve. You're going to find new stuff. A very important thing is that the night stories and the kingdom story, it all interconnects. So we've got like lots of great narrative, lots of branches, lots of plot twists waiting for you to uncover, and it all ties together. So you feel like you're a part of this, larger world. And on top of that, we've got our tried and tested mechanics that we used for Ian Trespass Odyssey, and now we're sort of seeing what we can do with it in a new setting with new mechanics, trying to push it a bit further, do something new with what we already know works and is really enjoyable. So this tactical combat that we have, driven by inverted combat paradigm and these hard co-op actions, which we're going to talk a little bit more when we get to combat, is definitely something that also sets us apart.
Right on, right on. Um, so let's take a look at a sample turn, I guess, and see what this is all about. We can talk about it
Yep,
all day,
sure.
but we're here to look at the game in action, right?
Definitely.
So we've got tabletop simulator set up, which everybody can play this, right? Right now, I think they can go and try it out. It's how many
Yep, it's public, it's
scenarios is it?
available. So in this demo, you can play a whole delve into the Principality of Stone. There are 2 enemies for you to fight, and the first chapter of each of the core game's night stories. So we've got like a whole chapter with some twists and turns and different outcomes depending on how well you do and what choices you make in the story. And then you have these two fights. And although it is a quite limited part of the game narratively, you can then replay it with higher level monsters, with new equipment and additional upgrades that you unlock for your knights.
Cool. So what? Set us up to what we're looking at. We're like 6 turns in, 6 actions in, I believe we said, right?
Yeah, we are like halfway through the delve almost. So we've had some turns here. We hit a dead end at the bottom of the map. Then some other things forced us to kind of go through this labyrinth of alleys in the Principality of Stone. And we are looking for clues here. These are the most important things. Each knight wants to find some clues that will bring them closer to uncovering the mystery that they set out to find out about. So that there's also something that steers you in the delve. On each kingdom card, we have these little icons at each exit, which show you what you can expect to find when you move that way. So we move a little bit. We try to go south, but then we hit back north, and we're nearing the halfway mark of the delve, where we are going to proceed to the clash, the combat encounter with the Ironcast Dead.
And so, looking at a card for people that don't know, the icons that show up here are the different quest tokens, right? That each player collects.
Yes. Each player collects different tokens, different clue tokens, and we have 4 types of clues. They are differentiated by colors and symbols on the map. You always know what you're going to get by moving in a certain direction. So if we look at the card we are currently on, for example, there's exactly. Okay, so if we go west, we're going to get this green errant clue. If we are able to pass the Panzer Gate to the east, we would get a mystic clue, and then to the north, it might seem like the less optimal choice because we wouldn't get nothing. But on the other hand, we would go to a smaller kingdom card, which would then lower our threat because we have these 2 tracks that we have to keep an eye on. We have threat track and curse track, which are going to increase or lower based on our choices, on the exploration cards we encounter, and all the other little things that will steer us through the Principality of Stone.
So give us a quick view of the phases of the game, just like a quick arc.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So this is like the overworld, the delve phase, during which we try to mostly stay alive, but also gather as many clues as possible. And then in the second part of the delve, after we finish our fight with the Ironcast Dead, we want to hunt down a boss monster. So we're knights. Each of us has their own objective, but we also banded for a single purpose. We want to eradicate a powerful monster that stalks these parts. So we need to find it. It will be symbolized by a boss symbol on the kingdom card. We have one right here on the Royal Plaza, so we could start our encounter with the boss at this place. But we still need to find some more clues to have positive outcomes of our quests.
And what do we do with the quest tokens? What's our point of collecting those? I see we get them on the map as we explore, right? What are we doing with them?
Sure, yeah. So these are then checked at the end of our quest. After we finish the delve, we fight a boss. If we defeat it, we then see how well we did in our personal objectives. If someone did really well, they collected all the clues they set out to collect, they will have a positive outcome of their quest. And if someone did not do very well, it's not like all the knights succeed or fail together. Some of them may succeed in their personal quests, some of them may fail them, but their story will go on. It's not like you have to repeat a section of the game because, well, you failed and you didn't get enough clues. We don't want players to keep playing the same content all the time. We want them to continue their story. So if you fail your quest, maybe you will not find the person that you set out to find. Or maybe you find this person, but they're already dead, and your story will sort of branch in a different direction because of that.
Are there story points while we're exploring? Can those trigger?
Yes. Each knight has a few story breakthroughs that they're going to experience as they gather clues. So yeah, in fact, we're right on the brink of Renholder getting his resolving his story breakthrough. He just needs one more errant clue to go through this narrative-driven encounter that we have.
And those are you get those. They're in the book at the start of the game, right? You get a set amount of starting items and your quest token set up.
Yes, in the final release, each knight will have their own knight book that they can keep handy during the game to easily refer to their quest objectives, to all the breakthrough thresholds, and so on and so forth. Right now in the prototype, all of this information is in this narrative story and knight book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's a good overview of what we're trying to achieve right now. So we're looking at some explored areas. We have a choice to make. Looks like we could break through this token. How would you what would decide us which way we would go?
So we have quite a few options here. Well, the main thing that drives us are the clues. So we can see that there's an errant clue, one that we really want, that Renholder really wants, and he's the party leader right now. You can see it by the party leader token that he has next to his play area. So he might want to go in this direction. On the other hand, we've accumulated quite a lot of threat already, so we might prefer to go north to the small tile to lower our threat a little bit, because each time we go to a smaller tile, we lower our threat, and when we explore the larger ones, we increase it. So it's like really risky to stay out in the open. It's much safer to go through the narrow passages. We also have some knight abilities that we could use here. We really didn't want the delve to feel like you're just going forward with nothing really pointing a direction for you, and no options. So we included these knight ability cards that you can see at the bottom of each knight's play area, which can be used in the delve. Each card is double-sided, so it has one ability for the clash and one ability for the delve. So each of these is meant to be used in both phases of the game. So, for example, we could use a coordinate ability. Kara has a coordinate that she could use to open this Panzer Gate. We could use Fleischritter's run ability to move an additional time if we backtrack, so that we could go back to Royal Plaza and then move to a different place that we want to go without losing time. Because, as I mentioned, our time is limited. If we run out of both exploration decks, which we draw each time we move, it means that we run out of time, and if we don't find the boss by then, well, that's game over, and we all lose our delve.
So we have to find the boss before this deck runs out.
Yep, and we've already found it, but now we have some interesting decisions to go
so
on.
We know where the boss is, right?
Yeah, we know where it is, but we need to return it once we found enough clues. So it might not be as easy as it seems, because there are plenty of surprises in the exploration deck that may make it much more difficult than it seems.
And the cards, like you told me earlier, that the threat is set per card, right? So you know what direction you go in. If it's a smaller card, you can work on reducing your threat. If it's going to be a bigger card or medium card, then you know what your threat's going to be. All that set.
You know Exactly, yeah. You know what you're getting into. You know what clues you're going to get, and you know how much threat you're going to accumulate. There may be some additional effects on the card, but generally you can plan your way. Sure, there are plenty of surprises that you may find out there, but we give you these basic information so that you can make informed choices, not just blindly go around the kingdom.
Right. So I would say we should we should explore and go get that token that what's his name needs. I forgot his name, so bear with me.
It's Renholder, the Mage Knight.
Renholder. Nice.
Yep.
I
All
like
right.
his
Yeah,
look.
I think for now it's best to keep it simple and
Yep.
just go here since it's something we need anyway. All right.
Right.
So when we move to a new unexplored tile, we attach it and flip it so that the pathway aligns with the new tile.
Okay.
All right, now we move to Craftsman District. So as you can tell by the symbol near the name, we need to increase our threat by 1. And we also gain the clue that we set out to gain, this green little errant clue.
Like crossing that way. Okay.
Yeah. So each knight who is looking for errant clues, that's Renholder and Ser Sonj, the two guys on the left, will get one.
Okay.
There's also something you can keep in mind when deciding where to go with it. Some knights have goals that align at least partially, and they could then decide to cooperate and do what's best for the most players.
Otherwise,
and
the person in charge rotates, right? Each time they move,
exactly,
so
yes,
that it can
yes,
be a
yes.
little
Each
push
night,
pull if they want.
sure,
Right.
sure. Mm-hmm. So it's best to cooperate, but sometimes someone has to break the tie, and that person is the one who has the party leader token, which passes at the end of each round. So every knight gets a chance to decide where they go. And as I mentioned, we increase our threat by 1, so it's now 7 out of 10, quite a high value.
And if we hit 10, it's over, right?
Yes, hitting 10 is over, but even if we do not cross the 10 threat threshold, some terrible things may happen if we push our luck too much and we have too much threat. But let's not spoil the surprises yet. All right, so as we moved onto it, we gathered the clue, we increased the threat. We now resolve this story event that triggered. Because Renholder, he needed to find 2 mystic clues and 1 errant clue to reach the first breakthrough in his story. So now we should refer to his story, to his notebook. And we have it right here. Like after you gain 2 mystic, 1 errant, immediately see paragraph 01. When you go to the next page, there's a lot of well-written text that I'm not going to read.
Yeah, we don't want to
now,
spoil it for people either. So
yeah, I highly recommend I highly recommend to just go and play the TTS demo because there's lots of story to uncover here. I will try to just give you a short summary of what is going on here. So Renholder, he's the most mysterious of the knights. He is looking for some secret organization that he's tracking. He is tracking like a member of it that he played cards with in a tavern, but he gave him tracked coins. He lost the game, but he gave him some magically tracked coins that allow him to now find this person escaping into the Principality of Stone. And as he follows this trail, he goes into some desolate homestead in which he finds some traces that will probably lead him forwards. And he gets a choice. A lot of these encounters will be choice based, so that you're not just following a story, you're kind of making your own story, making your knight your own character. You can decide what they do, judging by the current state of the delve, what you really need to do right now, but also what you think your character would decide in such a situation. So right now we've got 2 choices. We need to search through the desolate hat, but we could do it magically, executing a more thorough but also more visible search, or we could carry out a more cautious search, like a mundane human. One thing will give us +1 edge. The other will lower our curse level by 1. Lowering curse level is great for the whole party because that makes us, that allows us to go further. That allows us to take greater risks. On the other hand, gaining edge is really good for the Renholder himself. Edge is like this alternate win condition that allows you to succeed in your quest, or at least get a partial success, even if you do not gather all the necessary clues. So very often it's like, judging your own good versus, the good of the whole party. So what do you think Renholder would do?
Probably risk it with some magic.
All right. Okay, now we proceed to the next paragraph. he finds what he set out to find. He probably alarmed some monsters around that we're going this way. But here we've got something really interesting happening. We've got something called an active time event. Sometimes another knight may intersect, sort of chime into the story of their fellow companion. In this case, Fleischritter, one of the core game knights, may decide to lose one vigor or discard one Fleisch token, and if he does, he unlocks another passage. So this is something really cool that I think is really exciting, that the knight stories interconnect, they intersect, and sometimes the knights will have something to say about what's going on. Or sometimes, when the goals do not align, or maybe they align, very closely, they will exchange notes, they will help one another, support themselves, or argue about what's going to happen. So there are really lots of these little tiny paragraphs that you probably won't experience the whole story. You definitely won't experience the whole story in one playthrough, and you're definitely going to be able to play the same character a couple times with different party configurations and still find new exciting things around every corner.
Lots of story.
All right. Definitely, yeah. But for now, let's say that Fleischritter is not interested in Ranholder's story. We resolve the rest of the paragraph. Ranholder gains +1 despair. He is really shaken by what he found in the hat, which gave him 1 character statistic. Character statistics are also a very interesting thing about developing your character, because they're going to have these traits like courage or despair or hope that make them act in different ways, and sometimes you may encounter a choice that is gated by you having a characteristic high enough, or maybe something is locked for you because your despair is too high to feel hope in the situation you're in. So it's also something like you play your character the way you think they should behave, but then at the later point it kind of gets out of your hand. They become their own person because of the choices you made earlier.
Okay, I got you. Is there any checks we have to do, or is it just choose and then you get a result?
For this one, it's just you choose and get a result. Okay. Sometimes you will get to do those ability checks where you roll and see what happens based on your success or failure. But this one is rather simple. You just lose a little bit of vigor because of drawing some attention to you by using magic in a dangerous place. So you lose vigor equal to the number of mystical clues on your night sheet. So that's quite a lot. And then you have to raise the threat level by 1 or gain the fear condition card. So again, we get to make a choice.
Our threat's at 7 too, so we don't want that. So
exactly, yeah.
Looks like we're taking that condition. Reynolds not very smart. He's just, little drunk on some potions, just like flouting about. Chris Angel
style. It does
style.
seem so, yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to do magic in the market. Okay. Not a good idea.
So he loses 3 vigor. We can mark it on his character sheet. So he's going to be a little bruised for the upcoming fight. And then we find the condition, the fear condition.
Do we turn these tokens in that he used, or they just stay here because he's collected them?
No, he keeps them, and he keeps accumulating more and more of these.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's his fear condition. It lowers his precision. But on the other hand, as soon as he deals a wound, he gets a positive thing. So that's also like this motive of our game, that negative things will often lead to positive outcomes if you overcome them.
Nice.
All right. So that's quite a lot that happened in this single passage. Right. And now we're back to the delve. So we've resolved the movement step. It was quite lengthy because of this story breakthrough that we went through. Normally, it's just, you go resolve all the icons and you progress to the exploration
step. Tokens and
exactly, yeah. So now we resolve an exploration card.
And there's one for each tile, right? Every time you go to a tile, you're flipping one of these.
Every time you move, you flip one of these cards, and they also designate your remaining time. If these cards run out, well, you're out of luck. There are 2 decks. After the first deck, you're ambushed by monsters. After the second deck runs out, well, that's also game over. So quite a few of these lose conditions.
So you can't really waste too much time, but you can explore. So it's kind of a push-pull there, right?
Definitely, yeah. All right, so we need to place a panzer gate on all paths on the current kingdom card except for the one we used to travel onto it. All right, so our choices are going to be a bit more limited from now on because we've just closed all exits from this card, except for the one we used to come here. All right, but then again, it's not a game about having no choice. We try to design it so that you always have some options, so that right now we can again try to use a card to open one of these panzer gates. We can use a run ability to go to the previous tile, and for example explore north from there, lowering our threat by going to a small card. There are lots of other abilities. For example, Renholder, the Mage Knight, he may unlock an ability that allows him to place a placeholder, like a special token that allows him to return to a previously visited tile without wasting time. So there are lots of these little abilities that you can use to influence your delve and to actively take part in it, not being just an observer that blindly goes from room to room and explores and draws cards. All right, so this is more or less what the delve is, and I think we'll fast forward for now to the clash phase to showcase some of these combat mechanics. We're almost at the end of the exploration deck anyway, so we would have continued to a fight in a moment. So I think it would be best to just move to the
so we would explore till the deck runs out and then have a clash, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. For the first deck, for the second deck, you need to actively find the boss that you want to that you need to defeat.
Which we know where he is. We just got to get to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So as soon as you finish the first deck, well, you know that now your time is running out, and you really have to plan your movement accordingly. All right. So let's move on to the battle board. All right, we've got this handy little button here that allows us to move all of our knight components to the other side of the table.
Very nice.
It's less of an issue with the physical game, but in the app, it's good to have everything close to one another. All right, and so this is our battle setup. So we are ambushed by these Iron Cast Dead, those skeletons animated by unholy magic of the Cursed Kingdoms. We need to defeat, they're not why we came here. They're not our main goal, so we just need to defeat some of them to break through their ranks and continue our exploration. We don't have to finish off all of these. We just need to deal 5 wounds. So, defeat five enemies and we're good to go.
Let's show me where you're getting that from. I see that.
So yeah,
these are set up too, right? At the beginning of the game, you choose who you're going to fight. What monsters you want to encounter.
When you delve into a kingdom, you choose which first monster and second monster you want to fight. The first fight is like this exhibition fight, which is a bit easier, a bit shorter. It's about 2 rounds per single exhibition game combat. Then you have this boss fight at the end, and you can have really lots of different configurations. You could have an exhibition fight with the Egg Knight and then fight with the Iron Cast Dead as a boss, or use a monster from a different kingdom as one of the fights, and then have a boss fight with a dragon or a king. So there's lots of different compositions that you can use. For the purpose of this demo, we've got our exhibition fight with the Iron Cast Dead, then a boss fight with the Egg Knight if we finish the delve successfully. This is like our reward and also our final obstacle in the way.
Gotta love the Egg Knight. Very cool.
It's very popular.
So I interrupted, but on the Ironclad, I assume it shows. Yeah, there's a way to know how many it takes to get through.
Yes, for now they come in 2 levels. By default, they are a mob of level 1 Iron Cast Dead, so we refer to the top part. If you finish the demo and want to delve one more time, upgrade your knights, buy some equipment, unlock some ability cards, and try again, you can then try to face the second level of Iron Cast Dead for an extra challenge. For now, let's stay at level 1. and see what their stats are. So from left to right, it's a 2-hit statistic. So this is how much we have to roll. This is the result we want to roll to hit the enemy. Then we have their speed, which is 5. And then on the right, this is their wound value. So this is the amount of wounds we have to deal to defeat the enemy.
Yikes.
As well as a list of traits. As you can see, the Iron Cast Dead on the 2nd level have more traits than the ones on level 1. And this is definitely something we are focusing when we design these monsters. They are not only becoming powerful by, dealing more damage or having more health. They actually introduce new mechanics, new ways that they interact with the knights and with each other, and lots of different traits that will make them sometimes very different. All right, so I think that's it about the Iron Cast. We know who they are, what they do more or less, and we'll see how they behave in just a second. So
in our
our
encounter here, just to recap, we explored. We are now clashing, which is we're trying to just basically, we don't want to fight everybody, but we can, right? We want to kill 5 of them, you said, to push through?
Sure. You need to deal 5 wounds, so defeat 5 enemies.
Okay.
But you may choose who you wish to fight. As you can see on the track at the top here, different mobs are of different levels. So they have these little numbers at their bases that correspond to the position on the mob track. So for example, the mob number 1 that we have here, he is a BP level 2. So there's this BP card. It's called a body part card. And that is level 2, which means that he'll be a little bit more difficult to wound successfully, and he may have some additional abilities. Then we have level 3, which is like this sort of leader of the pack that is going to be a really, really powerful enemy to defeat. So if you're just starting and playing your first delve, you should probably focus on those level 1 mobs. Try to get as many of them out of the way as possible. Maybe defeat 1 or 2 mobs level 2, like these BPs level 2. But if you're replaying the game, the delve, you've got some stronger equipment, some better ability cards. Your knights are a bit stronger. You may prefer to go for the BP3 and BP2s because they give you greater rewards. Each of them will give you gold at the end of the battle, which will allow you to unlock additional equipment and generally make your knight stronger and better. Gold is definitely good, yeah. And on top of that, some stronger monsters will have resources which are unique for these monsters. So you need to deal these powerful wounds to them to unlock resources that will allow you to craft some monster-specific weapons and armor and gear. So there's really lots of customizability here.
It looks like you can grind a little if you want, but you got a time element, so it's kind of a balancing act,
I wouldn't say that it's grind. It's really
if you want to kill some extra monsters for fun, if you're doing well, if you're on a hit. I think you said you could go after it's 5 hits, right? So I could go after a stronger one and take my chances. Okay.
Sure. If you feel strong, it's not like the fight is not going to be longer. You still deal 5 hits and you're done.
But the rewards might be better.
By fighting these more powerful enemies, you gain better rewards. So it's not going to get more lengthy. It will just be a little bit more difficult. So you can kind of try to play it your ways. If you want to keep it safe, that's fine. If you want to go for the bigger rewards, you're welcome to try.
So you want to show us combat right now?
Sure. Yeah. All right. So we usually start with the enemy round. So we activate 2 mobs, starting from the left to right on the mob track. So the first one is mob number 1. We're going to draw an AI card for them. All right, and it's going to try to amass its target. So we refer to the targeting lines, and first he wants to target the closest engaged knight in range. Well, there are no engaged knights that is adjacent to another enemy, so he just targets the closest knight in front in range, meaning that he must target somebody that he can actually reach. And we have 2 targets here. There is Ser Sonj and Kara, who are both in the same distance, and none of them is a priority target. This is a little mechanic that we'll talk about in a moment. in such situations, if there's no specific target that he must approach, players get to choose. We really want to enforce the idea that the monsters, well, you can kind of steer them your way. The game is challenging as it is, so we do allow you to kind of influence the behavior of the monsters a little bit in these in these cases where there are two options for them to act.
Right.
So in this case, in this case, he may attack Kara or Sonj. For now, well, it's not a huge difference. Although there are still some things that we should take into consideration. Like, for example, we know that after he finishes this attack, we've already read the AI card, we know that he's going to try to knock down a knight. So it may be better to choose Kara as the target, because she actually has an ability card that allows her to roll out of the way and not be knocked down. On the other hand, Sir Sonj has a little bit more health. Kara has already taken some blows during the delve. Her vigor is at 8. Whereas Sonj is at 10, so he can take more of a beating than she can. So again, these little tactical choices really drive this game forward. So, have you got any opinions on who should be attacked?
I mean, you think that with the monkey on his head, he's going to draw some attention to him. I would think,
definitely.
We'll push them after him.
Yeah, his little sir is definitely going to be a nuisance for their enemies in a moment, so they might be drawn to attack him. All right, so we move the enemy to attack. We always employ this sort of a zigzag movement. So as long as the enemy is not in a straight line to its target, it will differentiate its movement axis after each step they move until they can reach the target in a straight line. So this Iron Cadet approaches. And it's time to try to evade. We do not roll for enemy attacks. They automatically hit unless you are able to evade their attack. So Sir Sonj must roll 3 evasion dice, trying to roll 8 or more on as many of them as possible. Each die he rolls 8 or more is a successful evade. Each die on which he rolls 7 or less is a successful hit of the enemy. All right, so let's grab 3 dice and see how it goes.
Right.
We always use 1 white die. This is like the crit die that sometimes has some additional effects associated with it.
I did not roll. I got 2 8s. That's not bad.
That's a pretty good roll. Okay,
so does it matter the more successes you get? How does that affect things?
Yes, definitely. As you can see here, after move and attack command, you can read that each hit does 1 damage. So for each hit you evaded, you would be dealt 1 damage less. Okay. So this is quite great. You lowered your damage from 3 to 1, which is already awesome. But you may try to push your luck a little bit further. If you want to gain 1 hit point, this is one of the main statistics each knight has. So we've got like this passion, heat, and vigor. The middle one being heat. If you choose to get 1 hit point, you may re-roll 1 of your dice. And you can use it for each evasion or attack roll. So this is like this sort of mana statistic that you can use to activate powerful abilities or to kind of push your luck in your favor. So how do you feel about it? Are you feeling lucky? Would you like to try to roll another 8, or do you think that this is good enough?
Thinking. So we how many hits do we need? We need 3, right?
Yeah, so if you evade 3, this is like a full evade, and you get no damage dealt at all.
So I spend 1 heat to reroll? Do I reroll all of them or just 1?
Mm-hmm. You spend 1 hit for each roll for each die you want to reroll.
1 heat for each die.
Yeah. So you actually gain 1. You actually gain 1 heat to do.
You gain heat.
This is like you gain heat. You get more heated, but you have heat limits, so you can't gain a hit above 3. Right, so this is
I can't figure out how to make it go up, so I'm not going to bother. But yeah, I
think it works.
You can do it for me. Okay.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, I'll roll again and see what I get. And probably did horrible.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, you shouldn't have re-rolled these 2. You just choose how many dice you want to re-roll.
I chose 1, you're right. Yeah. So here we'll pretend I didn't roll this bad.
Hold on. Chosen only
Let me
this
see.
one.
Oh, it didn't matter.
Still no.
Still sucked.
All right. Well, okay, but this gives an opportunity to showcase another mechanic. So you are dealt 1 damage. Then there's Swarm 1 keyword, which means that you would be dealt even more if you were adjacent to more than one enemy. So these guys will definitely try to, push your knight into a swarm of enemies and try to attack it from all sides. All right, but you're not adjacent to any other enemies. You
Nope.
successfully evaded 2 hits, so you suffer only 1 hit that does 1 damage. You lower your vigor by 1, so you should be Sir Sont should be at 9 right now.
Yep.
The
Nope,
the
he's at
lowest
10.
the lowest
The lowest
stat,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, right.
What's the top one again? What 3? There's heat, vigor,
There's,
and what's the top one?
There's passion, heat,
Passion.
and vigor. So passion is the stat that goes up as you attack, and it makes you more powerful. We have this heroic arc here on each knight's card. These are also customizable. You may unlock new heroic arcs that will give you access to new abilities. And these are more powerful the more passion you have. So you will gain 1 benefit from each level of this that corresponds to your current passion level. So if you had passion 2, you would get benefits from level 1 and level 2.
Nice.
All right. Then we have heat, which we've already talked a little bit about, and vigor, which is your health statistic. And as your vigor goes down, 2 things happen. First thing is you refer to this peril arc, which shows you different thresholds of vigor, which in turn increase your hit limit. So here you've when you had 10 vigor, your hit limit was capped at 3. But since now you are down to 9, your hit limit increases. So you actually become stronger and more desperate the less health you have.
Interesting.
So this is also like a fun little thing because this allows you to push your luck further, to bend fate a little bit, to reroll more dice, to use more abilities, and so on and so forth. And the second thing that happens is the Mortis card. Each time you are dealt damage by an attack, you must draw a Mortis card that will show how your knight reacts to what was happening, to the blow that he was dealt. So in this case, which since you're still at a rather high threshold of vigor, you just draw the level 1 Mortis, which is minor Mortis card.
Are these staged at the beginning of the game?
It didn't seem to flip well. So all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is the top
there we go.
card.
That's the whole deck.
No
I
difference,
see.
really,
There's level 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, exactly. So you have level 1, 2, and 3, and then there are these Judicium cards. At first, there are only 2 of them. One of them says you live, and the other one says that, well, you die. If you go below 0 vigor points, you always draw one of these cards to see. So you always have like this 50-50 chance of surviving.
Yikes. That does not sound fun.
Well, yeah, not great, definitely.
No,
but for now,
but you get a chance.
The Mortis you've drawn, yeah, you at least you get a chance, yeah.
Right.
But the Mortis you've drawn is actually positive. Not all of these are going to harm you. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they will give you negative conditions, negative modifiers, and so on. But there are some positive things here. Like the philosophy of combat in Kingdoms Forlorn is that it's never too late for a comeback. Sometimes a powerful blow dealt to you will actually give you a bonus attack, for example, because you get so infuriated, your knight gets so zealous that he just strikes back. So for this one, we just gain 1 passion, which is great. It unlocks additional abilities, makes you stronger a little bit faster. So this is really, really a positive effect right here.
Not so bad. But I still, went down in health, right? So
yeah,
but you get
definitely. I clicked it on the wrong character. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and that was the main part of the attack. Now we proceed with any additional effects, so we can see that they're trying to knock down. There is a window of opportunity before knockdown. If we had an ability that allowed us to move out of the way, we would not get knocked down. Unfortunately, Sir Sonj is not at his prime. He is, well, a bit a bit older than the rest of the group,
Right.
and he's not as nimble. He cannot just roll out of the way, so he suffers knockdown. We can just flip his miniature to showcase this. He also gets a knockdown condition that tells him what happens now, but we won't deal with that. It just basically tells him to skip his next turn, which is not that terrible because he has means of standing up using his abilities. And then there's this after attack effect. It does not trigger right now. If there was no other knight in zone 2 from the Iron Cast Dead, zone 2 is like 2 spaces away in cardinal and diagonal directions. They would escalate. So the enemies would become stronger. We would switch one of these AI cards for a stronger version, and also we would switch one of the enemies from a higher level version. So this is also like an important mechanic of our combat. It constantly escalates.
Yeah.
It constantly hits up. Yeah. All right. So this is the first mob, and let's quickly deal with the other one. So we move the activation token to the next mob in line, and we activate mob number 2.
Where is he at?
All right.
We go by the number on them, right? So he's over here.
Yes, exactly. So this is mob number 2. He activates now, and he tries to reach the closest knight in front in range. Okay, so again, we have 2 choices. We could choose Sir Sonj, and we could choose Kara. Well, Sonj has already taken a bit of a beating, so we may prefer to go for Kara this time instead. All right, so let's move again. We can choose his starting direction, but then we must move him like 1 space at a time, changing the axis until we're in a straight line from its target. Yep. All right, so they will always go the shortest way. We cannot like make them go all around the battle board. Okay. And let's quickly resolve the effects. This is also an interesting thing on this card. If you could zoom in on it, there's this heat gate. This little banner under move and attack instruction that tells us that if Kara had 4 or more heat, she would suffer more damage from this attack. So this is again some of this pusher luck mechanic that we try to employ in all parts of our game. That if you gain a lot of heat, it means that you used a lot of abilities. You bend the fate in your favor. But on the other hand, well, the enemies now see that you're a threat, and they will try to prioritize you. All right, but for now, it does not trigger. We're safe. Let's just roll 3 evasion dice and see how well she does.
Is that 9 for this one?
Yep, hoping for a 9+.
Ain't gonna be good. Let's see here. Nada.
All right. Well, that wasn't great.
No.
She doesn't have any equipment that would allow her to block or to reroll an evasion die. She can still use heat to try and reroll. I mean, I guess it would make sense right now since
that was horrible.
Since that was a pretty bad roll. And she is going to refresh a little bit of her heat at the start of her turn anyway. So I think we could try to reroll all of these and see what happens.
So would I go up to 9?
Marketing.
Oh yeah,
no,
I'll get it.
Yes, it's like 3 out of her heat limit should be like
Yeah, here we get that there. You were at 6, and there we go. Doop. There.
Oh, this is actually the limit on the right side.
Oh, that's the limit?
Should be like
I'm
her
sorry.
limit should be like 4 right now. Yeah, and she uses 3 out of 4.
Oh, okay, that makes way more sense. I'm like 34. Right. Okay.
Oh, there's this little.
I'm just ignorant. I didn't know that's what that did. Okay, so one side is your limit that goes up and down, and then the other side is what you're currently at. Mm-hmm. Can it go down on you when you're at 3? Like, can it change, and then does it trigger something?
Well, it won't change on itself usually. Okay. Like there are some effects
you choose to spend it and stuff. Okay,
but yeah, you choose to spend it mostly. Although there are some conditions and some effects that may force you to gain heat when you don't really want it. But these are rather rare. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, have you tried to reroll the dice yet?
I'm gonna try.
All right. See how that goes. Okay,
horrible. I got 1.
Yeah. We did manage to get 1 hit less. This is a lot. I mean, 1 hit point here or there could make the whole battle go differently.
Right.
All right. So again, each hit dice deals 1 damage. So she goes down to 6. She draws a trauma. She went beyond the major trauma threshold, so he draws trauma number 2 from this deck here. And let's see what that is. All right. Sonch's Cunning. This is a trauma that is in this deck because we are playing with Sir Sonch. So each knight has like their specific trauma cards and exploration cards that they add to the equation. So again, everything is going to change a little bit based on your party's composition. Okay, and it says in the boss fight we could look at AIs or BPs. What interests us is the mob fight. We can look at 2 BPs of our choice. All right, this is quite a good effect. We could spy what's underneath these mob cards right here, and see who's going to be the best target for our attacks.
Right.
All right. So how about we see the lowest ones, the 2 ones here, like 4 and 5, and see what they hide.
Bone at arms, bone squire.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a look at command, not reveal. So they do not stay revealed. We can look at them and then flip them back, which is very important because we just learned that Bone Squire has an effect while revealed. So we should really consider it when we decide to attack it. If we attack, reveal this card, and then do not manage to wound it, well, we will have to deal with this pesky effect on a BP reveal. All right.
Interesting.
But we know their values. We know that Bone Squire is going to be a little bit easier to defeat than Bone at Arms. So we've got something to go on with. All right, and that was the enemy round. And we proceed to the night round. The 2 mobs have activated. 2 more are going to activate in the next round. But there are also quite a few surprises underneath these BP cards, so it doesn't mean that we're safe in our round. They could still have some additional attacks as responses and so on. All right, so let's go through 1 or 2 knights' attacks. I don't think we're going to play the whole battle here.
No, we don't need to. We can just do 1 attack and then talk about what happens after this clash and where we go next.
Definitely, yeah. All right, so since we've sort of chosen Renholder as our main character for this demo, we've talked about his story, we've gone through his story breakthrough. Why don't we try to use him to attack? We can flip all of his ability cards to the other side because we're now currently in a clash, so we're using the other side of these cards. And there are quite a few options. Well, he's the Mage Knight, so his hand size is the largest. He's got quite a few things that he could do. And we know that he has this fear condition, which lowers his precision. It is not terrible because his sword gives him +2 precision, so it sort of goes down to 0, but it will definitely make it harder to hit the enemy. What we could do now is play Knight Tactics. This is the card that allows you to place 1 opening or break token in the knight pool. And this again is a quite important element of our combat mechanics. If you could look around here, we've got like this nice little area.
Let me get over there.
Yep.
All right.
Right here, yeah. With all sorts of different tokens at the top. When a knight attacks, they can use different abilities guaranteed by the tokens in this pool. So, for example, Renholder can gain 1 opening token by using his ability. He needs to gain 1 hit to do it, but that's not a very, very big cost to it, which will effectively make him more precise. So it makes the enemy's to-hit value 1 lower. So now he doesn't need to roll 7 to hit the Ironcast Dead. He just needs to roll 6, which is really useful since he has this fear condition, which makes it more difficult anyway. All right, so let's see who we want to attack. We've revealed these 2 enemies, 4 and 5, but these are quite far from him. I don't think he's going to be able to reach them with his speed of 4. He can only move 4 spaces. So let's see who's around. It's 6, 7, and 8, who are BP1, BP1, and BP2. 6
is a 1. Right, that's not bad. Yeah, 6 and 7.
All right, so let's just choose one of them and see how that goes.
We'll just go after 7.
Okay. All right, so each knight has 2 actions in their turn. We can activate them in any order we like. So we don't have to go in any specific order. We don't have to start with the party leader or anything. We can activate them as tactically as we want to get the most out of the situation. But each knight must finish their turn before another can act.
Oh,
So
makes
in this
sense.
case, Renholder has a move action and a combat action. So for his movement action, let's get closer to the enemy we're trying to attack. He can move up to 4 spaces, so the enemy is well within reach. This is just a starting position token, so
Right.
don't mind this thing. And now he can attack. So he's got 2 weapons equipped. One of them is a ranged, like, wand weapon. This is for spellcasters only, and since he's a mage knight, he's obviously a spellcaster. But we're not attacking at range, so a broken sword will definitely be a better option here. So the knight's attack sequence is resolved with the following steps. First, we roll a number of attack dice designated on the weapon to see if we can hit the enemy. For the broken sword, it is 1 d10 die. As I mentioned, we always roll 1 white die, so if we roll only 1, this is just going to be this
Oh, wow.
this die.
So I get 1 roll for this attack.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to hit? I got a 9.
Oh, nice! You need to hit. By default, they are 7+. We
Okay.
have +2 and -2 from fear and the broken sword, so I do not count these bonuses. We also have 1 opening token in the Kratos pool, in the knight pool. Sorry, and so it goes down to 6+. So you had like a 50-50 chance of hitting or not, and you did brilliantly because it's 9. If it was lower, you could use heat to reroll it. So again, you could bend fate a little bit in your favor. So now that you've hit the enemy, we uncover the BP card that you're attacking. So this is enemy number 7. So we flip it, and that's another Bone Squire. All right, so we better defeat it because he's going to give us this pesky -1 precision penalty. All right, so in the middle of the card, there is this huge 2 number, which means that we need to generate 2 power. So we gather our power dice pool. Those are these red dice right here. Yep. All right, and he has 2 red dice from his broken sword. He has an additional red die from his character sheet, and he could get an additional red die from his heroic arc. By the way, I should have increased his passion as he attacked. This increases each time you attack. A very important thing because that makes you more powerful, unlocks additional abilities, and so on. If he manages to attack 5 times in a single battle, he gets an additional power die, which is great.
Nice.
All right, so let's roll these dice and see what we get.
Yeah, you roll them this time.
Yep. Sorry, I got a little bit ahead.
No, you're better off than me. Luck is
nice.
horrible.
So we have swords and we have these little cups, these grails. Oh, sorry. So swords are power. We've generated 3 power. This is brilliant. This is enough to wound the enemy. We also have 1 other symbol. This could be changed into power if we had break tokens. So this is another category of these, co-op tokens that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
All right. So we've got that. We've wounded the enemy. This is brilliant. So we remove this card. We put it into the wound stack right here. All right. We remove the mob. It's not so easy with bosses. Bosses generally remain when they're wounded, but mobs all have like 1 health point. If you manage to wound them, they're out. All right. And then we have this response. Similarly to knights draw these mortis cards that cause different reactions when they are attacked, and so do enemies. When you attack an enemy, they are going to respond. So for this one, on the wound, it reveals the leftmost unrevealed BP. So we go back to the track, we reveal number 1, and this is both a positive and a negative effect. On the one hand, we know what we're dealing with now.
Right.
On the other hand,
he's strong.
On the other hand, it has a when you reveal effect. So we have to escalate the lowest unrevealed mob. Well, that's quite terrible. So we generally escalate enemies each time we wound them. So the battle keeps heating up. We escalate the mobs because they were wounded. But on top of that, we need to escalate them an additional time because we revealed the mindless veteran. So the escalation system works as follows. We've got these AI and BP cards with different levels. And to escalate them for wounding, we only escalate the AI deck. So we remove one card that we haven't seen yet, and we shuffle in a card one level higher.
Oh.
All right. And that's what would have happened if we just wounded. But since we wounded a guy who revealed another card that caused an escalation, well, we've got a double escalation on our hands. We do the same thing again.
So it makes the AI change as you
yes,
play.
And they're going. And if you thought that the starting attacks were deadly, wait till you see an AI free. All right.
Say
so
that for people to play on their own, just to keep it short. But that's insane. That seems like it get really hard. I might peek at one. What do we got here?
Oh, Isolate. This is a level 1, actually. The good stuff is right here.
Oh, is it? Let me see that. Just flip one. Here we go. Yikes. So do they all after attack? Because the first one had gang up 3. Did we not do that? Was that something we missed, or is there something that triggers that?
Yes, you are right.
Okay, so like after that, what would that mean? They move towards us?
Okay, yeah. Definitely. Sorry, I totally forgot about this thing. I was going to go.
It's not a real term. We're just trying to get a feel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted to rush it a little bit to get to the night round a little bit faster. So, gang up is a really fun keyword that's unique to the Ironcast Dead. So, in an after attack, it was this guy, I believe. He was attacking Kara, and he would then try to push her towards one of his friends. So he pushes her towards the closest other enemy in front of the enemy doing the attack. So she would go 1-2 spaces because it's gang up 3, I believe. Yep. So she would be pushed up to 3 spaces, and he would follow her.
Oh wow!
So now she's swarmed by 2 enemies, right? And now all of these attacks with swarm keyword are going to deal more damage, and so on and so on.
Oh my goodness!
You really need to be careful not to get swarmed by Ironcast Dead. That's what they do. It's kind of their thing.
It looks like we're not doing well, so we're in a glim state. So to save some time and some surprise, we would want to get 5 hits in. We got 1, right?
Yep, we just got 1, but we still have
we need
3
5. We don't have to fight and kill everybody. We just need to. We would need to push through, right?
We just need 5. Yeah.
We don't need to do that. Let's finish this combat though. Yeah.
So to finish this knight's attack sequence, because he's attacked, he has wounded, he has escalated the enemy, and now there's something really cool happening. As I mentioned, we want this to be cooperative, we want this to be tactical, so we have some more options at our disposal. After his attack, he's got this window that's called an ability window, during which he may activate different abilities from his weapon and from his heroic arc that will allow him to leave tokens in the pool that I mentioned earlier for other knights. So now that he's attacked, maybe he made a dent in the armor of the enemy, or maybe he has drawn some attention to himself, and other knights can now safely attack the other enemy. So they get these bonuses that they can use in their own attacks. So it's really important who attacks first and what other tokens they leave for their fellow knights. So our broken sword allows us to place 1 opening or 1 break into the pool, and the scholar heroic arc on passion level 1 allows us to place 1 cantrip and to reposition 1. So what that means is we clear the knight pool after our attack. These are always for a single attack only. And now we can leave a break token from the sword that will allow us to hit harder next time. We can leave a single cantrip token that works similarly to the previous 2, but it's up to the attacking knight to decide if this gives them +1 accuracy or +1 or +1 break for the attack.
These are for anybody to use, right? These tokens.
Yes,
for that next
anybody
attack.
who attacks
goes
next,
next.
so whoever attacks next, exactly, will use these tokens. And before they attack, they may use some more ability cards to add something to the pool as well. So this is like something really, really cool that you can plan your tactics around. And then he's got this reposition ability so that he can move one space after finishing this attack. Let's stick closer to the other knights and move him a little bit back. All right, so that's how the fight goes. We still have 3 more knights to attack. Surston is knocked down, but we have abilities that would allow us to pick him back up so that he can join the fight. So yeah, if we were to play a whole battle, we would now probably sit around and think what to do and what's the best course of action.
Yeah, it heated up
We're
pretty
kind
quick.
of going for this. We're kind of going for this slower pace combat where each attack is important, and like a single wound can make a difference. So this is like a good moment to like plan our next actions. But I don't think we're going to play the whole thing. So
No, just for the sake of time. I think it's a lot. I like it. There's a lot of layers to this combat. It's definitely not just chucking dice.
Yeah. We really didn't want it to feel like a game where you just run towards an enemy, roll some dice, and that's it. We really want it to be tactical, give you choices,
very tactical,
and make you think who should go first, who should attack which enemy, because it all makes a difference. Especially after you learn some of these AI and BP cards, you start to expect, you start to know what you can expect from these enemies, and that adds a whole new layer on top of that. So if you know that an enemy is going to push you back, then probably you don't want to stand next to a column, because then they'll push you into this column. You'll gain a point of danger, a point of damage, and be knocked down. If you know an enemy is probably going to pull you, it's the other way around. If you know that they're ganging up, you probably don't want to stand in a whole group of enemies. So there's lots of these unique keywords, abilities, and traits that each enemy brings to the table that will make each knight exciting the more you learn about this, more exciting the more you learn about the enemies themselves.
Very cool. So we would push through and probably do better than I did if it was somebody else playing, right? So if they succeeded here, we would return back to the delve, right?
Yes. So
after the clash.
Yes, exactly. So this battle, we've got 4 attacks. Well, 4 knights, so they perform 4 attacks per round. It shouldn't take more than 2-3 rounds. This is just a short mob battle. It's not the main boss battle yet. So it would be like a round or 2. Then we go back to the delve, and we continue where we started off. We already know one of the places where we could fight the boss. We know that he could be at the Royal Plaza. We can draw him out here. But on the other hand, we still have some story progression to do. Some of the knights are not satisfied with how many clues they've gathered. They want to keep exploring. So again, we can push our delve further. We can find more stuff. We can explore more, find more encounters, progress our story. Or we may prefer to play it safe and just, go back and have a boss fight, and then come back next time stronger, better, and well equipped for the challenges ahead.
Would the game end if we beat? Obviously, we beat the boss after that'd be the next clash. Well, can there be another clash before we get to the boss, or no?
Not really. No, there are some.
Because it happens when you run out of the cards first time. Yeah, okay.
Yes. There are some very rare events. We like to keep some surprises. So there could be some surprising events that will cause another clash, but these are really rare. Generally, there are 2 clashes per delve. We didn't want to stretch it too long, so we thought that a single short clash, then a boss fight is the sweet spot when it comes to the game length.
Very cool. You want to talk about the boss, and then we can wrap things up?
All right, sure. So what would you like to know about the Egg Knight?
Man, I mean, he's cool looking. How does in a summary, the boss fight differ from just the clash? What's the setup? And
well, that's totally different, and yet quite based on the same mechanics. So there's one enemy, obviously the boss enemy that we fight. He's going to have these AI and BP cards as well, but it will be just one guy that we're facing. And he's got this fun little mechanic called Humpty Charge. You can see it on the list of traits up here. It's not printed on the cards. It's like a separate trait card that you add to the fight. This causes him to, try to trample a knight, like run straight into an enemy. However, it's also his downfall, because if he runs into a column this way, he loses one of his armor tokens, which make him really difficult to hit. So this is like this sort of cat and mouse boss fight where you try to sort of lure him into rushing into you, and then jump out of the way to make him hit a column or a board edge, which will cause him harm. So it's like a really fun little mechanic, and I highly recommend trying the boss fight for yourself. It's really, really
definitely.
nice.
It looks really cool. Looks like you could kite him around and try to get him to hurt himself and make it a little easier.
It is. Exactly, yeah. And again, he's got 3 levels in the demo, so he starts on level 1. If you feel that he's a bit too powerful, you can bring him down to level 0. But if you want a higher challenge, you can go up to 2, add an additional trait that makes him it actually changes the fight a lot, because on level 1, if he bumps into a column or a board edge, he loses an armor token. On level 2, if he runs into a board edge, he actually bumps back, and it does nothing to him, and it just makes him angrier. This is one of the traits that he gets on level 2. So it limits your possibilities and makes the fight that much more difficult, not by just simply raising his stats, but by giving him more abilities and more tools at his disposal. So yeah, that's how Ignite works right now.
Very cool. And how many bosses are there?
Well, for now, we've got one vassal knight, so we've got one vassal enemy. So this is this Ignite.
Oh, for the TTS, I meant. Yeah, in the box.
Oh, for the TTS. For now, in the tabletop simulator, we only have the Ignite and the Mob Clash implemented. In the core game, there's going to be a knight, this Ignite, a dragon, a devil to face, and additional things coming in stretch goals, which I think some have already been announced today. So you may want to pay close attention to updates.
Very hefty updates too. I think
if any of our backers are watching us now, then definitely take a look at today's update, because there's some goodies in there that we think you're going to really like.
I'm just looking. Excuse me, 1 second, to see if we have any questions. So yeah, Mike wants to know: is this solely campaign or are they single session? How does that all work? Is there a campaign mode, single mode, one-offs?
So a delve is like one-off. So you delve into a kingdom, you fight with your enemies, you have an exciting boss fight, and then you're out. You upgrade your knight, you buy some additional abilities, some additional gear, but your knight's story progresses all the time.
Okay.
So it is a sort of campaign game, but your campaign is your own, meaning that you can play with the same group each time, but you can also play with different people, or play with your group on 1 week and then next weekend continue your story on your own, playing solo. And your knight is going to progress. His or her story is going to keep going forward, to keep branching, to keep unveiling more and more secrets. And then when you sit with your regular group again, or with or if you join a different campaign with your knight, you can just continue your story with this group. So this is a sort of campaign game where you progress through different chapters of your knight's story, but you are not limited to playing it with the same group all the time, or in the same kingdom. You can jump from kingdom to kingdom, try different things, fight different monsters, and all the while progress your personal story.
And then each time you delve or try to fight, you can change up the tactics. Like, oh, I want to try to fight this boss in this set of monsters, and play around with the characters and stuff. That's really
definitely you will unlock many unique abilities, many unique gear cards that will totally change your tactics. And especially with the ability card system, where you unlock lots of these, you can't take all of them with you on a single delve. There will be lots of interesting tactical choices that you can make from one delve to another. They're really going to be like different experience each time you play, each time you delve into a forlorn kingdom.
Ryan wants to know, and I think I know the answer to this. Let me get over here. He said, when you travel back, do you flip cards, the encounter cards, and you do, right? So like when we start traveling back, if we went across into here, we're gonna have a new encounter, right? When we
If you
backtrack
go
and stuff.
back,
The kingdom cards.
Mhm.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. When you backtrack, you do not gain any clues for backtracking because
Okay.
you've already been there, but you flip an encounter card. So this is technically wasted time, but there are ways to deal with that. There are some abilities that allow you to traverse more freely on explored cards. So there is a way around it. If you really want to go back and plan accordingly, there is definitely a way to do it without hurting your delve.
He was also asking, how do you know that this was the boss? And there's a skull icon on here. I brought it up before that the icons are a little hard to read. You guys said you're working on revamping all of this anyway.
Working on readability. The version in Tabletop Simulator has already been improved from the early prototype that you can see some of the reviewers play, but we're still working on it. We want the game to be as accessible as possible, so definitely we're working on making it clearer, more readable, and easy to play and access. Yeah.
And when we were using those ARC tokens, you had said that the other players could use them. I can use them as well with my character, right? If I were up next, or is it always somebody setting up tokens for you? Oh yeah, because we did, right? We used the one token for my abilities, so that's cool. So they reset at the end of the next fight. Is that the thing? They don't stay there?
They reset after each attack. So you always create a token pool for the next attack. So you should plan like who should go first and who should leave which tokens for the next knight. For example, you may have like Flesh Reader is a knight who starts with this huge two-handed sword that is really powerful, but it's not very accurate. So you may want to leave some opening tokens for him, or you may want to keep him as the last one who attacks and add a lot of tokens to the pool so that he gets both extra precision and extra power, so that he can swing at one of the more powerful monsters like the BP2 or BP3. There's a lot of things that you should take into consideration when you plan your like sequence of attacks.
Yeah, it seems very interactive because you're playing off of each other's thing, and that's an easy way. I've never seen that done where you can keep track of the abilities that the other players can use. That's really clever. Mike wanted to know, since it's kind of session based, right? He's like, what's the value of repeating them? Do you get a new experience? But I think I asked you this before. It's the story keeps unlocking for your character, right? That's what we're pushing the story. So go ahead.
Yes. So each delve has like these random elements that you're going to see, random encounters, all of these cards that will influence it one way or another. But then you have your knight's story that keeps progressing. You keep seeing new things, encountering new things, unlocking new abilities, and your story always keeps going on and on. Even if you lose, if you do not fulfill your quest objectives, you do not repeat your quest again. You just delve again into the same kingdom. You may want to mix it up a bit. You may want to fight different monsters. Use or just go to a different kingdom and use a completely different delve map, and your story keeps going on, and you're going to learn more about your character, develop it, buy new equipment, get new ability cards, and so on and so on.
Right, that's very, very in-depth game. Don't want to give any opinions. I'm here to show people how it works and whether they like it for them. You've got some unique elements I haven't seen with the tiles. The map tiles being cards. That's cool because they're different sizes and variable elements on them as far as what you encounter. Variability in the bosses. How many characters are there to play?
Well, right now we have these 4 core game knights. We have one additional knight coming in an expansion to the Principality of Stone, and we have some additional surprises for our backers. So I don't want to spoil too much, but these are definitely not going to be the only characters you can play in Kingdoms Forlorn.
Very cool. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time and showing us the game and including me on this. Very excited. We have a giveaway.
Thank you for hosting it.
No problem, man. This is fun. We have a giveaway going on. People can come to check out our link links in the comments, and you can follow along to find out where that's at. If you're still on the fence, hopefully this helped you decide one way or another as far as if the mechanics work for you. If you were looking for a full playthrough, obviously that's not what we do here. One stop co-op. One Shop Co-op. They've got a video I just saw when I was scrolling here looking. So make sure to check that out if you're looking for more in depth. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and checking this out. And hopefully we'll be back to do more of these. So again, Lucas, thank you for your time. And everybody else, thank you for tuning in.